welcome back to the Local Swing Podcast. For today's episode, we have James Basil, who is the owner of SuppCartel. James, thanks for popping into the podcast studio.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
So I'm born and raised in Albany. Went to Albany High, class of 04. Go Falcons.
All right.
Yeah, grew up in Albany. Yeah, Albany kid. So
Albany. So I'm thinking Albany High. I always revert back to like the athletes that were going on back then.
Yeah.
Lionel Chalmers, was he at Albany High? I believe he was.
That was.
He ended up maybe a couple years before.
Yeah, that was
right?
before my time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit before my
Sorry,
time.
I may do that more. I just revert everything back to sports.
No, it's great. Listen, man, I played football, wrestling, track and field. I get it. I was an all-state lineman. I completely.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Where
we go down
was,
that rabbit hole too.
Yeah, there were plenty of rabbit holes.
We can go down some rabbit holes, man.
What was your first job?
Actually, I was a lifeguard for the city of Albany. Actually,
Okay.
Like, that was like my first technical on the books job.
Yeah.
So
Like back in when you were in high school or something.
Yeah. Freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
So
What do you think? Just go back to fundamentals, a lot. And what do you think you learned at being a lifeguard that you still is that's true today? In running your own business.
honestly, not much.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, when you work for people, it's completely different than working for yourself.
Okay.
So
that's a good point.
It's a different animal. I learned more, I would say, when I went to work for my other job, when I was working for Albany Strength, working for small business owners, than I ever did working for. You learn some things in the corporate sector. Like I even worked for GNC for a little over a year and stuff like that. And there's some things that you see. And but yeah, I don't want to say. I'd say my first job as a lifeguard just wasn't a good example. I'd say once you get more into because I do retail and stuff, those more corporate jobs, you kind of learn what corporate does right and what they do wrong, just like what mom and pop does right and what mom and pop does wrong.
Sure.
And also their ability to adapt. Like big corporate has a hard time making changes quickly.
Yeah.
Because there's so many chains of command. It's kind of like the military.
Yeah.
Where mom and pop, they can move a little bit faster. I always say that's big military guy, by the way. They're like the special forces. They can move really quick. Boom, boom, boom. They can make changes. They can adapt really rapidly.
Yeah.
Where big corporate can't. And you see that even in my world. Something will be trending. I can pivot really quickly, bring it into the store, and I'll talk to supplement companies. I deal direct with a lot of them. They'll be like, "Hey, we're about a year later. They're like, we're getting ready to release this." I'm like, "Yo, that trended through 8 months ago.
Yeah.
You guys are behind the ball." And it's just because it takes longer periods of time to get up the ladder.
Right.
So So
that in itself, when you say there's so many hoops to jump through to get from point A to point B, is probably a turnoff in many aspects for that company to be like, it's not even worth to try to do this, and you know what I'm saying? Not even go down that road.
It is, but also too, they just a lot of times the thing that you learn with big corporate is they just don't have a good finger on the pulse of the consumer and the economy, because they're not really, those upper level individuals aren't really out there in the crap of it.
Okay.
Or on the street.
Yeah.
They don't have their finger on the street. Where and you see that, you hear that I'll get back to a military reference. It's always a good general's with his men on the front.
Sure.
And he's seeing everything live. He's not back at headquarters hey, we're getting relayed, and it's no, you need to see it, be there, and that's what allows you to move rapidly and make the decisions and
Absolutely.
And things like that. So business is like that, it's just you got it. That's why I'm the only employee in my store. I'm a one-man band. I need to see what's going on constantly. I need to have my finger on the pulse constantly, because if you don't, and you see that with good corporations, you look at a JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon's there every day. He lives it, breathes it.
Mm-hmm.
Berkshire Hathaway with Warren Buffett lives it, breathes it every day. You gotta have your finger on the pulse pretty consistently.
Yeah.
It's because otherwise you're screwed.
Yeah.
I feel that's what really separates
Sure.
companies.
So where did the name SuppCartel come from?
It literally popped in my head. I was at ABC up the road here, and I was doing a set of incline bench, and that name popped in my head, and I ran home, and I went right to the domain search to make sure that it wasn't taken as domain for the internet, for the website, because that's the first thing I like to look at, just because website space is incredibly important.
Yeah.
and it wasn't. So I bought the domains right away. Got on the phone with my attorney. Said, "Hey, make this DBA name under my other business at the time."
Yep.
And we waited about a year on that, and then right before COVID, we formed the LLC, like I was telling you about.
Sure.
Then kind of long other conversation we could have about that one.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that one. So it was really, we've been in business 3 years now, but it's really been in motion for about 5 years now, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
Congrats on making it to 3 years, because as you know, in business, it does take, extreme amount of effort and commitment to get past those, first year or two.
Oh yeah.
So another thing, I took a look at your content before, and I see buff on a budget.
Yeah.
So that's a creative little tagline. Go into that. What do you got for that?
I'm a big believer in marketing and branding. I think that's what separates good companies.
Yeah.
That's why SuppCartel I knew was a good name. I knew we could do a lot with it. And then I'm always just about, getting the customer the best bang for the buck. So buff on a budget popped in my head. I was like, boom, kind of stole it from, I always look to good companies like Walmart, Costco, things like that, things that they've done. And I'm like, okay, we need a quote like that, something that catches.
Sure.
So I came up with it, popped in my head, and we've been rolling with it since. And a lot of people that shop with me know I get the best price, try to get the best prices out there for everybody, and I'm always trying to save the consumer money. And that's how it pretty much came about.
Nice.
So yeah. So
Definitely important to be creative.
yeah.
So going back to the beginning here, did you go full storefront right from day one, or did you were you out of the garage at one point? Or?
Again, complicated situation, but originally I was supposed to do this business through my other business at the time, and then COVID hit. We had complications because of COVID, and then I said, all right, so I started selling some supplements out of the apartment for a little while.
Yeah.
And then I was driving through Loudonville, and I saw the storefront. It popped in my head that I was looking for. I called the landlord, and there's things in life you kind of know. Business in life kind of teaches you. It's like, I looked at it. It was the right size unit that I was looking for. Didn't need a lot of structural work. I called the landlord. I said, hey, can I take a look at it? He's like, yep. And then I was like, would you do this on the lease terms? He was like, yep. I signed the lease in 24 hours. I knew I wasn't going to get a better opportunity like that kind of situation. Signed the lease in 24 hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I locked it in, and we were off to the races from there. That was still coming out of some COVID lockdown stuff, and we're dealing with stuff like that now, but it's just the inflationary prices were crazy at that time.
Yeah.
But it was that's another wild experience, and it's conversation in itself.
Well, I mean, you could have a whole podcast just about the effects that COVID had on people. So.
Oh, a combination of things. Yeah.
So,
and we're still feeling those.
So location-wise, Loudonville, and I believe you're pretty close to Planet Fitness.
Right across the street. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think that having that, a lot of fitness people are into supplements, being that close to them, do you feel like that helps you, proximity-wise?
So the funny thing is, yeah, I do. That gym, I mean, and I have a good relationship with the manager there and everything. I don't get a ton of traffic out of there, actually. Like I was discussing with you earlier, I worked for another local supplement store for many, many years, Albany Strength. And I had a lot of relationships built with people because of that. And then with my other business, so I had a lot of gym affiliations with doing stuff with and I work out at ABC and a lot of these other gyms. And that's what really has helped me draw in, the traffic and stuff. And a lot of people were buying supplements for me for a very long time at Albany Strength. So kind of when I opened my own spot, I had those relationships built. And that's why I always try to explain to people, this has been like a 23-year process in itself. And I always tell people this, I'm on the goal line, I'm on the 1 yard line, still got to go 99 yards. I'm at any time I could get a safety.
Right.
It's like, so we're not where we need to be. And that's with 23 years of skin in the game. So, so yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Yeah.
Relationship building is, something you just touched on, and, with your old customers, following you for when you wanted to do your own thing.
Yeah.
And I'm very much like that as a customer to other businesses, that I like when I see someone put in the time working for somebody else and kind of learned it and then took that leap, I'm gonna go do this myself, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there's something to be said for supporting people that try to make this journey.
Yeah, and it's just building good relationships. That's one of the things I think separates us from big corporate box supplement stores and even other people selling supplements, is they get me. Yeah. So they get the relationship, they get years of experience. Right. They know that I'm not trying to screw them out of money. I'm trying to save them the money, and like I've always had the motto, like if somebody comes in the store, and even this is when I was working for All My Strength, and even now, like I could have somebody come in and ask for, hey, I need this, this, and this. I'd be like, nah, you really only need these 2 products.
Sure.
And and building that relationship has been huge to me for a long time. So yeah.
So I don't know that this is true, but I assume the supplement world is sort of a saturated market. Would you say that that's true?
It's saturated. Yeah, I mean, excuse me. It's saturated in the sense of how many brands are out there now compared to 20 years ago. There's just a lot of brands. There's nothing new coming into the scene though, per se. Like I'd say the most even recent newest thing I've ever I've seen in a long time was Bucked Up just did like basically a protein carbonated soda, which was really cool.
I saw your post on that.
Yeah, that one is relatively. I've never really seen anything like that in all the years I've been in it. But for the most part, the major difference about the industry now is there's just a lot of brands. A lot of brands. It's saturated in the sense there's so many brands out there. Where 20 years ago, I could literally name off the top of my head the 10, 15 supplement companies that were out there.
Right.
Yeah, because the cost of entry was so much more then.
Yeah.
And now it's so much easier to get into it and things like that. There's just a lot of different variables. We could have another conversation about that down the road. But yeah, it's saturated in the sense there's a lot of brands.
So with there being that many brands and that many products,
yeah,
what's that selection process like for you? Because you can't just carry everything, obviously. So.
Yeah, so a guy like me who's been doing it a long time, I kind of pride myself. I'll look at a brand and be like, I'll look at what they're bringing to the table, and if I think it's a good fit for the customer, then obviously what can we do price point wise? Does it fit on the shelves? Things like that. And then if something's trending, the one thing I've learned about the world now is, man, when things trend, you better just put it on your shelves.
Right.
As long as it's not hurting people, don't even. And I've tried to talk people out of certain things, be like, hey, there's no difference in this and that, and they don't care. So you have to kind of have a combination of what cool products and brands that you think for the customer, and then whatever's kind of trending.
Yeah.
That's the bigger and then just the profile of the customer has changed. Where I'll just give this quick example. Like 20 years ago, the customer was a lot more performance-based focused on things because it was just a much different scene. The supplement world was, I always say, like it was all ex-jocks and ex-convicts because it was really a harder core environment.
Okay.
Now the fitness industry and the supplement world overall is just more diverse, and there's a lot more demographics involved than there was 20 plus years ago. So they're not as concerned about performance as much. They are, but it's kind of secondary to flavor.
Okay.
Flavor's kind of the biggest thing. So now I have to look at that variable. Like when I talk to a brand, I'm like, okay, this product's cool, but does it taste good? And if it doesn't taste good, I can't bring it in.
Okay.
I just can't bring it in. I've lost so much money on that, and that's been a very valuable lesson learned this time around and how things have changed. Where years ago, a guy would suck it down for the results.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen anymore. So that's kind of thing. Those are a couple of the things that I kind of look at. Flavor's a big one though. Flavor's huge.
I kind of like equate that to like, I feel like when I was a kid, like in the 90s, like it was all bulk. Everybody wanted to just like get big and strong. And then now I feel like there's a little bit more of, long and strong or mobility and, so there's just a lot more moving parts than like, let's just see how muscular I can get. And
it's gotten very complicated. It's just, you have more, you have women are heavily involved now.
Yeah.
Like if you walked into, I always give, which is great to see. It's great. I mean, I train in several gyms, and man, some of these, and I've trained in some hardcore environments, like probably some of the most hardcore environments you're going to train in. And these women are clanging and banging hard. Like they're going hard, and harder than some guys. So that demographic has really changed a lot of the industry overall, just because of their involvement now. That wasn't a case. Like if you walk, I'll use powerlifting as an example. That's one of my big backgrounds. If you walked into a powerlifting meet 20 years ago and you saw 1 or 2 women in it, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now there's full-blown women-only meets. So it's just a different animal now. It's just a much larger audience. You have a lot of people involved in fitness, everything from housewife soccer moms to like D1 athletes. It's that whole range of people involved now, which is good. It's good to see.
That's awesome.
So,
To your point about women, I go to Metabolic Meltdown. Plug for them. Great environment, great workout, great people. And there are some the women in there that are very fit, very strong, and I can attest to that firsthand.
I go to Power and I know a lot of the metabolic people, and it's like that everywhere. Like you go up to ABC, there's some girls in there. Sometimes I even I get a kick out of it. I think some girls are even eyeing you up. They're like back in the day where dudes would be like, yo, this guy's not that big.
Yeah.
I even think there's chicks eyeing you up now and be like, oh, I can take this guy.
Yeah, right.
It's like, it's a different animal now, man. It's like, it's a different animal.
No, you look over and you're like, well, she's kettlebell swinging more than I am, you know?
Yeah. They're, and which is good. It's good to see. There's nothing, you know, my degree's in physical education, so I want to see people get as strong and healthy as possible. It's good for just them overall and society overall to have healthy, strong people. So it's good.
Where did you get your degree?
Hudson Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, Hudson Valley. Yeah.
I went to Cortland and there's very physical education out there. So
Yeah, Hudson Valley Stage.
Yep. So you're no stranger to being on camera, right? I see some of your content, you know, you do a lot of videos promoting products, promoting your product. Mm-hmm. Was that challenging in the beginning, do you feel like? Or did you have any hurdles of putting yourself on camera in order to promote yourself?
I did, because this is where our generationally, you can put me in front of a room of people and face to face I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, that to me is where it's at. I was uncomfortable because it's not something that generationally I've had to do.
Sure.
So it's just weird talking into a camera.
Yeah.
And all that initially, and then you kind of get better with it the more you do it. It's like anything.
Right.
So that's really all it is. It's just, and I think it's just a balance of doing it too. It's like I never want to do it too much where it's annoying.
Sure.
Where I think some people kind of get a little bit out there too much with it.
Yeah.
But it's a great tool, and I've 100% gotten way more comfortable with doing it. Like I can do it on the fly pretty quickly now.
Nice.
Where before I kind of need a little bit more like, and then you just kind of learn. But yeah, it was a little bit challenging because again, it's weird just talking into a camera. Like you and I right now are talking to each other, but we're talking into a camera.
Sure.
You know, there's a camera right here, so it's just you kind of, you know, and I see it even generationally, man. Like I see it with a lot of people because I have a good mix of demographics in my life. I see it with a lot of younger people, which kind of concerns me. Is they're awesome on the camera.
Yeah.
Awesome. You get a chat to them in reality. It's a whole other. That's a good point. You know, they're the most confident person I've ever seen on social media or a story or a reel or something. But man, you look at them face to face and have a conversation. They're nice. It's not that they're just they freeze right up, man.
Sure.
So it's yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of like motivational, entrepreneurial content stuff, and I read the books. Like I'm reading one of Gary Vee's books right now.
Okay.
And he talks about, you know, you're afraid because you're gonna think you look stupid and you're gonna sound stupid. Mm-hmm. You do. But just do it anyway. You're not gonna not get better at it the more you do it.
The more you do it, and you have to understand, man. It's like it's better just to be genuine. That's the one thing I've learned is like, I'll do a couple of takes or whatever, but like if you stumble a word, we're all gonna stumble words.
Sure.
Nothing's gonna be perfect.
Yep.
It's actually like that's why I don't really edit. I don't do any editing to the content once I shoot it. I just kind of like let it do its thing, and I stepped on. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, it's like and most people at the end of the day, we're so self-absorbed. Like that's the one thing about us as human beings. I mean, I remember studying this in sociology. We think way more of ourselves than like people think of us. Mm-hmm. You know, we think, oh my God, everybody's looking at us, and it's like nobody really cares.
No, that's a complex that you build for yourself.
You build a complex for yourself. Yeah. Well, and like I think once you kind of make peace with that a little bit, and we all, you know, but that's really the thing, man. We all think that like the world's looking at us deeper than they are, and they're not. You know, it's like, you know, look at how many great. That's why, you know, no matter what, you know, people come and go, and the world keeps moving. You know, it's like there have been great leaders who have died, and the world's still moving, man. Right. You know, it's like queens, kings, presidents.
Absolutely.
World's still moving. We're still here, so nobody's that important.
Going back to my sports mind, that's like, you know, Michael Jordan.
Oh God,
the greatest ever. And then after he retired, guess what? They still had games.
They still had games. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and it's and that's just how it is, man. Life moves forward. Everything's always in motion. Like nothing's stagnant. You know, everything. You know, and I think that's the one thing that business teaches you too is it's for me especially that if we want to get on like because I'm definitely a thinker and you know it's been very good to me and it's been very negative to me because I'll try to calculate out all the moves in my head.
Sure.
You know, and like because I like the, you know, and that's not too good. It's good in business and it's not because you have to understand you have to have a long-term plan but be now reactive, which is that type of situation. It's because, and man, listen, I don't know what the next 5 minutes are going to bring. So you kind of start having to, that's one thing in the last year that I'm really learning to try to make peace with, is like, I cannot predict anything. Like, I look at tariffs right now, like, that's a huge topic.
Sure.
In the country and the world right now.
Yeah.
And people that, I'm like, guys, I'm just sitting back and waiting to see what comes.
Right.
That's all I can do. I can't try to, like, I'm positioned well enough to handle whatever comes of it, and I'll just deal with it as it comes. I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to try to, because, I've learned that lesson with other things. Business teaches you a lot of that. So that's an example right there.
I'm certainly guilty of that myself. I like to build out the whole thing in my head before anything.
and how many times has it actually happened the way that you wanted to?
That's the value of pivot. I make myself pivot all the time because I build what I think is going to happen in my head, and then I'm like, wow, that's not what happened. Now, I'm always talking about these things like with my wife, and I'm always, and if this happens, she's like, but that didn't happen yet. So just focus on like what the first step is. So.
Yeah, and trust me, man, it's not easy, and like I make it like ideal. It's like every situation, business teaches you that, relationships teach you that. It's like we get these things. It's like athletics teach you that. Like you kind of build these things in your head. The world, everything teaches you. Like, and you can't. It's something that I've been really working on. It's hard. It's not easy, but it's something that I'm working on. You just got to be now reactive and live in it. It's like, as long as you're not doing things too irresponsible, you should be just fine. It's like, so it's, but yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, patience is a skill. So, and
it is, and it's also kind of letting go. That's the one thing too, is just understanding that like that's my one thing is like, I think as a business owner and things like, you are a little bit of a control freak. And there are things that you just cannot control. Yeah. Like you just have to understand, and it's like, that's probably the hardest thing. It's not that I'm scared of you just can't control it.
Yep.
You don't know what it's going to be, and it's accepting that and bringing it into you.
Yep.
That it's like, that's the biggest thing, so.
How does, diet and supplements, coincide?
That's always a simple one. They're called dietary supplements for a reason. So as I tell people, you come in, you look at your diet. Do you have a deficiency, or is there something that you're missing within your diet? Okay, this is where this supplement can come in handy. Yeah. That's as simple as that. It's like, I get people all the time, they'll come in and be like, I need this, this, and this. I'm like, do you?
Right.
Like,
that's what I was going to ask. Like, do you think people do their own diligence to see what they're deficient in? Or
no.
Do you... That's how I had the same
There's
thing.
A lot of influencers. There's a lot of people always will go with what they're being told, and they're not really that into themselves as they should be. Like, they're not. It's the same thing with nutrition. Like, I'll get people that'll come in and be like, I eat enough food, or this or that, or like my favorite thing is like, people will be like, I eat a lot of protein. I'm like, okay, what'd you eat today? Like, what'd you eat? And they'll be like, I'm like, okay, so. Like, I can tell you everything that I eat every single day. Yeah. Because it's pretty much repetitive. Right. Like, and I know how to, and like, I could sit here and be like, before I came in here, I had 350 grams of egg whites, a couple oatmeal, 100 grams of blueberries, 32 grams of almond butter, boom. I can tell you that right, there's 50 grams of protein right there. Right. Boom. I can tell you right out, and I know I'm going to go home and have 200 grams of chicken breasts, 150 grams. Now, I understand people, this is what the one thing too, the fitness world and more mainstream kind of mess up. You have your bros that are kind of like, that's their whole life. Sure. And you have to, like, I don't expect people to, like, be that involved. I've also had decades of doing this, and it's just a part of my routine now. Yeah. And the one thing is, when I travel for work or this or that, I know how to, like I'm not going to be here and be like, oh, I got to stick to my macros perfectly. Like, as long as I go out and get, like, a clean carb source, a protein, some kind of fat, I know it's not going to be perfect. Yeah. All right? And then when I get back, I'll get back into the groove, what it normally would be. That's really the hardest thing with people, honestly, when it comes to diet and stuff.
When you think of the bro influencers, I got a little funny story about that. I wanted to dabble in the carnivore thing.
Oh, okay.
So I did.
We can go down that rabbit hole if you want to have that conversation. That's a good. I could. That one will make you laugh, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, I started eating raw liver because that's what one of the guys was doing. Yeah. And it made me feel so awful, like, nauseous. And, like, again, my wife was like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have to do that. You can just do like a dumbed down version of, like, that's the most extreme thing you're going to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I learned my lesson the hard way.
Yeah, that's just an example of just things are trending, man. It's like, I try to tell people, I'm all about, moderate thinking, rational thinking. That's a big thing to me. Just getting to the middle point on things. It's like, you know, when it comes to nutrition, man, it's like, listen, at the end of the day, we need carbs, fats, and proteins.
Sure.
It's just the facts. You need fiber. And actually, one of the bigger things that most Americans are lagging in, which is a huge issue that I try to explain to, is fiber.
Yeah.
Fiber is a huge one. So, you know, nobody's going to sit here and tell me, like, you know, that, like, eating nothing but meat all day when no roughage or micronutrients is a good thing.
Yeah.
No. Like, nobody's going to sit here and tell me.
Yeah.
Like,
I always find myself when I do carnivore stuff to fall back onto like the paleo thing where there's fruits and vegetables.
100%, and that's more of a and then if you look at it, man, it's all again, it's like supplements. There are no real new supplements, just like there's no new real diets.
Yeah.
It's like there was Atkins, paleo, carnivore, and you know, it's like, and then carnivore got tweaked, you know, around too, and things like that. It's nothing. At the end of the day, we need all. It's like trying to run a car on just oil and gas with no antifreeze
Sure.
and like other
That's a good
lubricants.
way
It
to
makes
put
no sense. Like,
Yeah.
you can do that short term, and you know, when I've dieted people or myself and things like that, you have to pull something down to like get calorically deficited
Yeah.
or whatever. But at the end of the day, the car, your body is an automobile. It needs everything.
Yeah.
All right, and it's like, to sit here, it's just, again, people are very extreme.
Yes.
It's like they want to go here, they want to go here. They don't want to get to here, because here's kind of boring.
Sure.
It sounds better like to be like,
Yeah.
oh, just do this and you're going to be like this, and then boom, boom. Or it's like, no, it's like investing. Investing is really boring. You
Right.
find good valued companies, you put money into it, and you walk away from it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Right.
And then 10, 20 years down the road, you're probably going to be up somebody.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? So, go ahead.
So, if you could have one, you can only have one. Pre-workout or protein powder. Rest of your life, you can only have one of those.
Protein powder.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
My pre-workout story, I haven't dabbled too much in pre-workout, but
Yeah.
I had a buddy, we were in paramedic school, he said, try this one. I did about 5 o'clock in the morning before school, and then when class started, he was like, bro, you gotta get it together, 'cause I'm just out.
Yeah.
The crash factor.
How long ago was this?
This was a while ago. And
So was it the ephedra era or was it the DMMA
it was
era?
probably after ephedra.
Okay, so it was DMMA most
Yeah,
likely. Yeah.
so-
So yeah, that DMMA was way worse than ephedra. You know, again, being in this as long as I have, you know, I was a part of both of those eras, and ephedra was awesome. Ephedra was fantastic. I mean, I'm not a stim guy as I get older, besides coffee.
Yeah.
Ephedra was, especially to play football on, ephedra was
Yeah.
the best supplement to play football on. So yeah.
What's your favorite cheat meal?
As I get older, honestly, man, it's not that fancy anymore. As you get older, your palate just gets a lot more refined. I find it's just really fatty cuts of steak.
Okay.
And like, you know, pastas, things like that. You know, just fun stuff.
Yeah.
I don't get too. I mean, like, I enjoy good meals out when I travel, but for the most part, it's really, I just really like just to appreciate a really nice fatty steak a couple times a week. So a nice
Yeah,
prime steak or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's off to the races.
If you could sit down and have a protein shake with anyone, famous, not anything, anyone in the world, who would you collab over a protein shake with?
This is a good one. I like this one. That's. I want to say Warren Buffett, but I've listened to enough of him. Julius Caesar would intrigue me, or Napoleon.
Okay.
Just because. Actually, no. I take it back. Winston Churchill.
All right.
Probably Winston
You
Churchill.
did say you were a big military.
Yeah, Winston. I mean, those guys are big too.
Yeah.
But Churchill, what he did, and the things that England were going through at the time, and to be able to be resilient, and like, I've watched it. You know, there's a lot of times when, man, they were calling for his head, and like, he knew to kind of keep the course. And
Sure.
it's more like, what was it like those times when you were by yourself, and what was
Yeah.
running through your head? You know, I mean, Caesar intrigues me too. He got killed though, but like, that one intrigues me too, just because of like, you know, the Roman Empire, and just like what he was thinking too, and even just, you know, also his love affair with Cleopatra, like the guy literally went to war for love. So
You'd have to have a pretty big protein shake to get.
yeah,
that
you
big,
got it. Yeah,
bottomless.
those are pretty cool
Yeah.
individuals. Though I just kind of like to have the world at your fingertips in a way
Sure.
is pretty interesting. So those individuals intrigue me.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.